1997 to 98 NBA season was Michael Jordan's last one with the Chicago Bulls. It was the last time he won an NBA championship. The 13s was supposed to be the final Jordan brand shoe that he was supposed to end the season with. But he whipped out the Jordan 14s in the finals, so technically the 14s was the last one he wore as a Bull, but during that season he would wear an OG colorway that is returning for the first time since 2017. Air Jordan 13, Chicago, or White Red, or True Red, or Cherry. And this shoe is dropping on March 14th for $215, up the price again. Now, originally, the 13s released in 5 OG colorways in the mid-top, 2 low tops, and Michael Jordan also had his own PEs. But this shoe returned in 2010 as well as 2017. Of course, it is an OG colorway. Michael Jordan did wear this on court himself during his final season with the Bulls. And first impressions of the shoe, really nice. I don't absolutely love the 13s and really nice colorways. I will get them. I think this is not delicious standards for me. Right under. I think it's a very clean colorway, hard to dislike. I will say people will notice that this red does seem a bit brighter than the OG version of this shoe. I don't have the original pair on hand, but it does seem like this is actually closer to the OG shade than at least the previous 2 retros that came a bit duller, a bit darker than the originals. And the box of the shoe, pretty regular Jordan 13 box. It is similar to the OG box, the shade of gray, a little different, but for all intents and purposes, I think they're going for the same thing. And paper inside, yeah, nothing much to it. And in terms of the materials, this is a pretty general Jordan 13 setup, probably what you can expect. So the white, it is leather. The leather hair actually feels pretty good. It is not super thin or anything, but still pretty soft. But it also does feel like it's got kind of that polyurethane coating that gives it a slight plasticky touch, but it's not absolute hot garbage leather, but it's also not anything super premium. And if you're wondering why the overlays here has those dimples, that is because the Jordan 13 was inspired by a panther. So there's a lot of panther inspiration, and I'll go through each when it comes to it. But the dimples here are supposed to mimic a panther's whiskers. Now, on the base layer here in the red, that actually is just synthetic suede. It feels kind of like felt. So that is not the best there, but that is pretty normal for Jordan 13 there. This kind of synthetic material does do better when you're playing on the court. So for durability purposes, that's probably better. And then moving on to the heel of the shoe, you will see the most distinct thing about the Jordan 13. It is that little hologram at the back. That, if you look into it, has 23 as well as the Jumpman, and that is actually inspired by the eye of a panther. And then moving up the tongue, you get a pretty regular Jumpman tongue. One thing that has happened with the Jordan 13s is that farting noise that you feel when you wear the shoe, and that's because the tongue was synthetic. So when you press down, you don't see the natural kind of leather wrinkles. This one does feel like actual leather, so you don't really get that farting noise anymore. So that's one really big bonus. If you go hard enough, you can still hear it a little bit, but definitely an improvement. And of course, you will see that little Jordan tag at the very bottom of the laces. And speaking of the laces, just white laces for this shoe, no extra laces. I think white probably makes the most sense. But if you want more than one option, you're going to have to use your own sets of laces. And in terms of the cushioning for the Jordan 13, it does just come with a Phylon midsole with a Zoom Air unit and the heel, as well as one in the forefoot. And you will see the cushioning here does have that very unique shape. And that again is inspired by panther's paw. And if you look on the bottom here on the rubber outsole, herringbone traction, you get that carbon fiber mid plate there, as well as another not quite hologram, but a little cutout of a Jumpman right on the heel over here. And that shape, again, a panther's paw. Love the Jordan 13 outsole. The carbon fiber plate here is kind of concentrated around the midfoot area, which is something I prefer if I was to play ball in these. I think full-length carbon fiber can just feel a little stiff when you first break the shoe in, especially. It just takes a bit of time getting used to. I think a midfoot one is enough for rigidity, as well as helping with kinetic energy return. In terms of the insole, pretty regular, just a Dream Cell insole. Now in terms of sizing and comfort, I am a wide and flat footer for Jordan 13s, one of the more comfortable Jordan shoes for my feet. It is actually relatively light for a shoe that was made back before the year 2000. Nothing that can compare to like today's shoes, but still, these aren't really like bricks on your feet, and the padding all around your ankles, around your foot, just feels good. It is still very low profile, very low to the ground. Same with the 14s, super low. Michael Jordan did want it that way. Most basketball players do want that court feel. And you also have to always remember, Jordans are supposed to be for on-court purposes. So there's some tech choices where it might not be the best for like walking or casual wear, but on the court, it absolutely made sense. And that brings the total sole score of the Air Jordan 13 Chicago, or True Red, or White and Red, or Cherry to 31.5 out of 40. A pretty good score compared to other general releases. Now first, it is colorway. Very nice. White and Red, OG colorway. Can't really go wrong. I don't think it's up there with ones that I absolutely love, but I do have my own taste and just gonna give you my honest truth. And in terms of the materials, I think the materials here are actually pretty nice. The leather doesn't feel super flimsy and too plasticky. Some past Jordan 13s have come pretty hot trash, but this is a bit of a step up. The suede that is like synthetic, but that's pretty general for the 13s. And in terms of the comfort, this is always going to be in the 13's favor, at least from 1 to 14. It's just significantly more comfortable than shoes like the 1s, the 4s, the 6s, 7s, in my opinion. It just feels lighter. You can feel at least some responsiveness on the cushioning. It is still very flat to the ground, but the way it just hugs your feet, I love how these feel. And in terms of the versatility, I think the 13s are kind of retro, still pretty athletic looking, so I don't think it lends itself that well, like in a general sense, to like casual people who don't care about Jordans or sneakers in general. But with that said, the shape of it isn't too much. It's not like the Jordan 8s. Wearability of the colorway though, super easy. Can't really get more wearable than a white, black, and red shoe. So overall, I do think it's a pretty wearable shoe. In today's throwback of the day, staying on theme, it is the Jordan 13 Ben 23 that first dropped in 2010. Now the Ben 23 collection is supposed to use premium delicious materials. It was limited to only 1,734 pairs. The colorway pays tribute to Michael Jordan's love for cigars. There's a wax seal on the tongue instead of the usual Jumpman. Comes in like a suede and nubuck setup. And a few years ago, or maybe last year, we got the peasant version of that shoe in the Jordan 13 Dune Red. Still a nice shoe, but not quite the same. This year, they did drop the Jordan 6 Ben 23. Unaffordable, unattainable. Maybe they'll bring back this shoe this year, or give us another Jordan 13 Ben 23. I still won't be able to get my hands on them, but I do just want to see it release, see people get it in hand, be happy for them, so let's bring it back. From the Jordan 1 to 14, I think the 13s are like right down the middle in terms of where I would rank them. It's not something I've like thought about, it's just off the top of my head right now. I think they're about right down the middle. I will say this is not as good as the playoffs. I will have to rank the Flints over these as well. I think the black and red better than this too. And maybe this. I don't know. Let me know what you think. So that's it. Thanks for watching. So inclined. Let me know what you think of the Air Jordan 13 Chicago, aka White and Red, aka True Red. Like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, tomorrow may never come, so wear your shoes